Hi, this is Jim McLean speaking to you from the Doral Golf Resort in Miami, Florida. Another great day down here. It's February 15th, 2011. This magazine article that I'm showing you was written in January of 1989 in Golf Illustrated. I wrote for Golf Illustrated from 1985 through 1990. I started in 1990 with Golf Magazine and wrote for them for 7 years until 1997, and then switched to Golf Digest, who I still write for to this day. But there's a lot of seemingly new information about how a golf club swings to the left after impact in order to hit the ball straight. So if you take a look at this article right here, it's pretty obvious. Swing left to swing right is the title of the article. And I knew long ago from playing a lot of golf and then observing great players that their divots went to the left after impact when they hit great shots, even when they hit a draw. So this article was on the cover. Had a few pages here. It was shot at Sleepy Hollow Golf Club. I was the director of golf at Sleepy Hollow during the time of writing this article. This is the 17th hole. And it shows here some different angles, if you can zoom in on that, of how a golf club swings. And we've kind of set that up for you right here. Same thing as the article I wrote way back in 1989, or it came out in 1989. I started knowing that the ball flight laws, as they were written in the 70s and 80s, in the manual for the PGA of America, where it said that the ball would start in the direction that you swung the golf club. So when I watched the Golf Digest schools in the 70s, they would always put those lines down, the three lines out to the right, straight, and out to the left, and then curves. So if you swung from the inside, you would hit the ball out to the right. So if your swing came from in here, the ball would start out to the right and then hook or slice on that basis. But it didn't take me long teaching at Westchester Country Club. I started teaching in 1975. I played for 2 years after the University of Houston. I played on the college golf team there with great players on my team. Bruce Litsky was one of my roommates. He later won the United States Senior Open, won 14 times on the PGA Tour. Bill Rogers was the #1 ranked player in the world in 1981, British Open champion. Fuzzy Zeller won the Masters and the US Open. Keith Fergus, Bobby Watkins, and a ton of other really fine players. So we had a great playing background where I'd played a lot of tournament golf and watched, and then as I started teaching, I noticed that a lot of high handicappers would come over top of the ball and the ball would start over to right field. Then I had a really good player come to me for lessons, and he was hitting a lot of pull hooks in tournaments. He played for, I believe he played for the University of Tennessee. He was a Wingfoot member. And when I worked with him, I had to think about that because his instruction was, from good teachers, was to stay more on the inside, have a little more lateral motion in the swing to stop that ball going left, which makes sense. Intuitively, I knew that was probably not right, but I told him, please come back tomorrow and I'm going to do some work tonight. So as usual, my main way of learning how to teach better was to just hit all the shots myself. So it was pretty obvious to me if you made a good swing and you shanked it, it went straight to the right. You didn't swing to the right. Or if you hit it right off the tip end of the toe, it would just dribble over to the right. I knew a driver had bulge and roll, so if you hit on the toe, it would start to the right. The gear effect would make it hook or if it hit on the toe, and slice if it hit on the heel. I also had the great advantage of having my father, who was a very fine player, a 1 or 2 handicap most of his life, played in 3 United States senior amateurs, and that's being a full-time engineer for Boeing aircraft. We worked a lot of hours for Boeing, but my dad was very helpful to me. So when I went to see Homer Kelly, for example, in Seattle with the golf machine, spent my time with Ben Doyle, I could always go back to my dad, who could understand engineering terms much better than me, of course, way better than me, and we could figure things out. But I think I've always had a little bit of that engineering background. So the club's shafts here are set up basically on the angle of the club that I'm hitting, and it becomes pretty obvious as we've studied more in golf that the club swings on a plane or on an arc that goes around our body. And when you hit a golf ball, as the club comes in to hit a golf ball, you make contact here, the club keeps moving, the ball stays on the club face for about 3/4 of an inch, and then the low point of your iron swing is further forward than that, and then it starts coming out of the ground. But by the time that happens, the club should be swinging to the left to hit the ball straight. So that's a confusing idea for people. So with this guy that I worked with who was hitting pulls, I went out at night and practiced doing it. So the way I learned to do it was to be a little steeper. I could get steep and close the club face and hit a ball that went left without, a lot of times with no hook. So in very simple terms, if the club face is closed, which I'll just turn the club face closed, and I swing out to the right here, the ball goes to the left. Just the opposite of what we were being taught in the PGA. It's still very dicey with most teachers about what's really happening. They don't really have a grasp on what's going on. Even the latest technology with launch monitors, they don't really see a couple of the most important things, like, for example, what's the club face doing in impact? So you have a club face angle, you have path, and then where do you hit the ball on the club face? So the idea of swinging left after impact means that your body's turning and the club swinging to the left in order to hit the ball straight. Now, if you come over the top of the plane and you get too steep with an open club face, the ball will start out to the right. I'll do it easy because it's hard to see, but you can see how the ball would have spin on it and curve off to right field. That's because your face was open. So my purpose for this YouTube segment was swing left to swing right was written a long time ago. I think it's not only me, there have been other intuitive teachers that realize that the ball is not going where you swing the golf club. It's always a difference of in between. But this idea of swinging left to swing right is going to be true for as long as we play golf.